Next up is Phil Bolander. He is a global business growth expert and business consultant, leadership coach, author, and speaker. He is the author of Wings of Wisdom, Lessons Learned at 35,000 Feet.
Thank you. So what some of you might know, especially since Vicki just said it, is I've recently become a best-selling author. My book is Wings of Wisdom, and it's the lessons learned at 35,000 feet. The significance of that is these are stories of me meeting flight attendants while I was traveling all around the world. So these stories share with the reader what it was like to gain wisdom through conversations with flight attendants. And so I was a global leader for most of my career, and my career spanned 35 years. The first 24 years of my career, I was spent taking care of organizations that were in massive chaos and disorganization. Imagine the worst company in the worst situation. Those were the ones I went into and cleaned up. And in doing that, I poured out a lot to take care of the organizations and to take care of the people. So 24 years into it, I found myself starting to have some of the signs of burnout. So as a leader, what I knew was that I couldn't show up for others if I was burned out. However, I couldn't let people down and leave my career, so I was in a real dilemma trying to figure out what to do about being in this burnout. And burnout for me was fatigue, sleepless nights. Back then I couldn't eat, so that was a big issue for me. Not being able to relax around people, not being able to enjoy time with my family and friends. I was prone to cries. I would cry a lot because I was so frustrated and fatigued. So what happened was I called a friend of mine every day for about 2 months, and I said to her, I've just got to figure out a way out of this. I don't know what I'm going to do, and it's very frustrating, and so on and so forth. And so I wept every afternoon on my 45-minute drive home, expecting her to give me the answer. And I thank her to this day that she didn't give me the answer. What happened was I went to a retreat in May of 2006, and at that retreat, it occurred to me that I had to walk away from my career. I had to take a break. It was the only thing that was going to keep me sane. So I made the decision on that weekend to take time off and take time away from my career. It was interesting because when I initially made the decision and got in the car to drive back to North Dallas, I thought, I can do this for 6 months. I can do this for 6 months. Okay, 6 months, this is great. I was on break for 747 days. During those 747 days, I had one focus and one job: to learn what self-care was. Because up until then, I had taken care of so many other people, I didn't know how to take care of me. So I set out to figure out during this time, how do I take care of myself? So I started out small. I'm going to take myself to lunch. I'm going to take myself to a movie. I'm going to go buy myself a gift no more than $50 at Williams and Sonoma. And as I did that, the self-help got bigger and bigger. I'd take a weekend and go away. And then I realized that one of my passions was travel, and that I really wanted to travel during this time because I had the freedom to go anywhere in the world and do anything that I wanted. So all of this ended up with me being in Bali, Brazil, Kenya. And as I was doing all of this self-care, still I'm helping people, if you notice that. I'm still out there doing work, service work in all these places in the world. However, there was a balance that I learned around it. And so when I learned that balance, I was ready to go back into a job. I was ready to go back into my career. Now, mind you, most people said to me, you're out of your mind, you've lost your career because you left for a period of time and no one's going to hire you back. Because at that point, I was probably close to 50. So I ended up getting my dream job. I was working for a global firm that had 50 countries represented and 250,000 employees around the world. And they asked me to come in and lead their leadership development program for North and South America. And I was like, and you're going to pay me to do this? This is awesome. So rather than get into it and forget everything I learned on the break, I went into it mindfully, aware that if I start traveling globally and burn myself out, I'm not going to get to retirement. So I did that job for a year and a half and traveled to 3 continents and had an amazing time because I was balancing it. And then when I left there, I went to work for another company and became the president at that company and traveled 150,000 miles a year for 5 years. Now that sounds like a lot of miles, and I'm here to tell you that it is a lot of miles. And what happened was I enjoyed every single one of them because I figured out how to balance being away from home all of those times with being able to take care of myself before the trip and after the trip, and then also carve out time to be with my family. So as a result of learning those lessons during my break, I was able to come back into the job of my dreams, and then even get a bigger job because I never dreamed I would ever be the president of a company, and yet it happened. And so what I want to leave you with is, if a guy like me who decides on a weekend that he's burned out and needs to do something about his career and literally jumps up and says, I'm not going back to work on Monday. I did go back to work for 6 weeks. I'm going to leave my career and take a break. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not any smarter. I'm not any more financially fit than you. And what I would encourage you to do is, if you're starting to experience any of the symptoms of burnout, get them early. Don't get where I got. And you can do it. Start out small. Take yourself to lunch, go to a movie, whatever it is that works for you. So you can do it.